Final play of the first half. Looking for Hackimer. Oh, he made the catch. Hackimer's still on his feet. He's at the 5. He's gonna get in for the score.
What a great job running.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of our CET Sports Top 10s as we get into week number 3, and we had a ton of movement in both Class 5A and Class 4A. And Marty, no movement bigger than what we saw out at Legacy Stadium on Friday night as Mullen saw their 34-game win streak snapped at the hands of Grandview. As we look at our first revealing of the poll, they have been knocked out of that top spot.
Yeah, and of course reference is going to be made to, Grandview was the last squad to beat Mullen, and certainly it's fair enough to say that Coach John Schultz, he knows how to game plan against those Mustangs, right? So congratulations to those Wolves. Got yourself a nice victory. Needed that to not only stay in our top 10, but more importantly, get yourselves on a roll after, taking your own loss recently too.
So as you look at the top 10, and really in particular focus on the top 4, we have put Pomona at number 1. And Marty, we had a chance to see them for the first time in person this year against what I thought was a pretty good Mountain Vista team, and they destroyed Mountain Vista. Love Dylan Carter, love Alec Phelan. We think Pomona's really, really good. We believe they're worthy of that top spot.
Kind of see why Coach Jay Madden was so confident during the summertime, saying, hey, it won't be a repeat of a 6-win performance like it was in 2010. You talked about Carter. They got a great run game. Certainly Alec Phelan from his sophomore year way to kind of step in and take over the quarterbacking position. Now he's just so poised, and just the way he handles his business. Got a great group of wideouts and certainly some great blocking up front with the guys like Cody Duffield and Danny Flores. On the defense, they're stout with Matt Woolham up in the middle, Kenny Shinley on the defensive end, and I was really impressed with Zach Anderson, the new linebacker, too. They play Pomona defense, too. They're just they're a juggernaut, and there's something to be dealt with.
They're tough. There's no question.
Yeah.
They're one of the top 4 teams in the state. Will they win the state championship? Well, we don't know. That's why they play the season, but right now we think they're the best team in the state, and of course Grand Junction is right there as well. To look at the rest of that top 10, everybody kind of moves up. We have a couple of one-loss teams there. Mullen only drops to 3. Regis is right there at 4. We saw them here this past weekend as well. Then you have a couple of those Jefferson County teams,
right,
and Bear Creek and Columbine. See Grandview moving up there, and then Ralston Valley's a newcomer. But Bear Creek's a team that's just kind of lurking. So is Columbine. They're just kind of lurking.
And there's always good coaching coming out of Coach Thinnell, and you're wondering, what is Bear Creek? They played out of state and got themselves a victory, and then took care of Horizon. Now what's coming up for them? We don't talk a lot about them, but they certainly got Sean Flanagan, who's a very gifted athlete. Certainly got a nice bloodline in terms of football in Jeffco with his family. A couple of guys up on the defensive line, and Skylar Schoenbaum, Hammer Morton, nice football name. Those are a couple of 3-year lettermen. They always have a nice offensive game plan and a bunch of great weapons offensively. And then, what you don't talk about a lot with Bear Creek is they've got big boys, too, that, are blue-collar kids. We'll find out coming up soon with Bear Creek once they get into league play if the Bears are Frio right there in the middle in our top 10.
By the way, a pivotal game coming up this week in Class 5A. I think it's the biggest game across the state. Pomona taking on Regis. Something has to give there. We saw both of them last week. We think both of them are outstanding football programs, and we really enjoyed watching Jake Leathers, the backup quarterback for Regis. He was outstanding, replacing Easton Salem, who is still out with a broken ankle. On to Class 4A, we had movement there as well, but not at the top. As you take a look, Valor, of course, still on top. There's Longmont, moves up to number 2. Monarch's up. Pine Creek's up. Castleview is up. Why was that, Marty?
Well, they took care of Wheat Ridge, and after what we saw, and you might remember our video from last week, we were big time. We were in love with what Wheat Ridge did, how they handled Ponderosa, and then all of a sudden, look at the SaberCats. They take care of Wheat Ridge. They got that offensive line that we've talked about, and then they've got a nice balanced run game where, at least 3 different guys can handle, 15 carries, and they just produce.
No, they do. There's no question. So Wheat Ridge moves from 2 to 6. Castleview, we had them debuting in the poll last week at 10. They now move up 5 spots to number 5. And the rest of it, there's Broomfield, Pueblo West moves up. We kept Greeley West in our top 10. They suffered a loss this past week. to Monarch, and that was a very good game. 21-7 is the final score. Is 14-7 in the fourth quarter. Greeley West was driving. They turned it over. They were looking for the game-tying score. We still believe Greeley West is a top 10 team. And then, Marty, Montrose enters our top 10 for the first time here this year.
Well, look at the Indians. They're one of the few 3-win teams sitting there at 3-0. They took care of Rock Canyon, who beat Dakota Ridge, who jumps out of our top 10 poll. They've got a great running back who just put up 227 against Glenwood Springs, which is a 3A state finalist. Angelo Youngren is who I'm talking about. So, hey, we'll give a little love to Montrose, and we'll find out more about them because up ahead on their schedule, Grand Junction and Pueblo West. Then we'll know.
No question about that. We're going to get a pretty good idea of just how good Todd Casepier's team is down there at Montrose. It was a wild week number 2 in high school football, and expecting more excitement coming up here in week number 3. That's the latest look at our 4A and 5A top 10s right here on ISPN.TV.